continually moving forward. I have to remember what that first starting point looks like, right? To that.
There's lots of inspiration there, isn't there? Yeah, lots of inspiration.
Absolutely.
The very last question, and you've touched on it, being a business person, would you rather invest in a new venture or double your return on a cash cow? So basically the question is, would you rather, make a sure investment or take a gamble?
Oh, so good. So good. I prefer to invest in people than the platform, if that makes sense. So there could be a really good offering, but I like to know about the people and then make that choice then. So I don't think I'm a risk person because I'm a relational person.
That's a great answer. You just spun that on me. But it's a great answer. Thanks, Anita. So now going back to Green Beans. Now, Green Beans has such a simple and humble mission. It includes encouraging our children, obviously, to read through books and other forms of entertainment. And I think there's no amount of investment in our kids that's ever going to be too much, because we're helping them to dream about the future, become better people, make the planet a better place, etc. So I'm really happy that we partner with this, organization. So 2 notable things have happened in the last year with Green Beans, at least I've picked up. So feel free to, correct me or add to the information I've got. One of them is that last year you won an award for the most promising medium business category at the KPMG Black Entrepreneurs Award ceremony. That is amazing. So congratulations. And the second one is that recently you have announced your US branch opening. That is fantastic. How did you manage that?
Oh my goodness me. Yeah, starting with the US, that has been a long journey for getting our intellectual property registered in the country. That's not a small thing. It's not an easy thing. I think I thought it'd be done in 6 months. No, it took 2 years to process. We had to employ solicitors and lawyers in the US because they know the industry, they know the field, they know how to do it. And then we had to then bring solicitors from the UK to do that collaboration. And then we put in our input for what we want, what our brand stands for, what it needs to represent, but also did a really deep intellectual property registration on the basis that Green Bean is, and I love how you touched on it, it's simple, because that's what we wanted. But even though it's simple, it can sit in so many places. So Green Bean is a character. Green Bean is a fictional character who's got friends, who can sit in the form of children's books, children's toys, children's TV, children's magazines, on a theme park. Green Bean could sit in all these places. So we had to do a deep intellectual property engagement with the US. And it's set now for this year that there is quite a bit of things on the horizon for us to be able to do things. Now, why did we make that decision is important, because many people can get excited about the fact of, look at that going into the USA. Right from the get-go, when we were a conception business and had conception simple books and toys, we started to attract organic engagement from the USA. So we would have fans make comments on some of our social media, like introducing Auntie or introducing another person and saying, look at this brand. I think they're from the US. I think you're going to love them. So there was an adoption from a country, and also there was a market. So we'd find that grandparents in particular would do organic sales, buying the books and the toys and the games. And they wouldn't just purchase one thing. They would, over the cycle of a year, they would purchase nearly most of the collectible items, and they were paying more on shipping than they were of the goods. So that was an indicator for us, even though we always had in our heart, let's reach as many kids as we can. Let's go as far as we can, because we know that our kids need this wholesome sound media and toys and books, and that pause in the day. But it was huge that while we were doing the registration, there was traction already in a place. And we know that we can expand on that and grow deeper with that, but we needed to have the foundation. So if we're going into this market, we need to legally be certified to go with this brand in the market in a deep way, so the character could move in the ways it needs to. So it was a huge piece, not going to lie. It's expensive, really expensive. 2 years of litigation with over 4 firms is really expensive, but it was about there's a market, and it was about our kids need this, not just locally. We need to do a global impact piece. And if there's a market that are waving at us, let's have a go. Let's tap into it and see what it's going to be.
Really interesting. Thanks for taking us through that. So it's two things I've picked on as you were speaking. One is the vision, about how the vision has kind of evolved even in this process. And I think this is speaking to business, people, entrepreneurs, to understand that the vision is never just going to be stuck in one place. And I think that's part of our stories. Sometimes we think it's stuck in one place, but actually there's so many things that could happen to change how you see it, coming out in the future, which is really interesting. And then the second point was the consumer market that you identified in the US. You mentioned grandparents, and when we come out as business people, as people trying to found things or just start something new, there's some segments of the market we never really consider. And I think when you talk about green beans, grandparents wasn't exactly a segment I would say, oh yeah, there's a niche market there. So it's interesting that you brought that up and said, oh look, we've got something happening here. Let's stir the waters. Let's plan to do something. So it leads on to my next question, actually, which is, why do you think people, consumers, have gotten behind your brand so well? So talk to us a bit about some of the actual work that goes on